Woodrow Wilson became president in 1912. He had a strong sense of moral righteousness, which influenced the development of his policies for the U.S. In regards to foreign policy, Wilson disliked both Roosevelt's big stick policy, because he hated imperialism, and Taft's dollar diplomacy, because he was suspicious of Wall Street. Instead, he opted for a less aggressive foreign policy, known as moral diplomacy, which centered around the idea that aid would be given only to countries, specifically Latin American countries, that were democratic and supported U.S. interests. It also focused heavily on being generally correct in morality, according to Wilson's standards. The first things he did to break in this new policy were declare war on dollar diplomacy, create/repeal acts to support his policy, and ease tensions. Immediately after taking office, Wilson proclaimed that no more special support would be given to American investors in Latin America and China. This action began his war on dollar diplomacy. In 1914, Wilson got Congress to repeal the Panama Canal Tolls Act of 1912. This act was not favored by Britain because it exempted American coastwise shipping from tolls. Therefore, the repeal of this act increased relations with Britain, which supported the focus of U.S. interests in the moral diplomacy policy. The Jones Act of 1916 granted the Philippines territorial status and promised independence when a stable government was established. This occurred 30 years later, on July 4, 1946. Crisis between California and Japan in 1913 over discrimination against Japanese immigrants was diffused by Wilson when he got Bryan to plead to the California legislature to soften their stance. However, Wilson had to lean toward a policy he hated, imperialism, and lean away from his moral diplomacy when political turmoil erupted in Haiti in 1914/1915, when the public revolted against their brutal president. Wilson was forced to send Marines to protect American lives and property in Haiti. The troops then remained there for 19 years, with a treaty between the countries providing for U.S. supervision of finances and the police. Continuing to stray from his hatred of imperialism, Wilson sent troops to quell riots in the Dominican Republic, which then came under America's wing for 8 years, and proceeded to buy the Virgin Islands from Denmark in 1917. All three of these actions in Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and the Virgin Islands strengthened America's power in the Caribbean and brought doubt regarding whether the U.S. could firmly stick to their policies or not. Finally going back to his original foreign policy, Wilson refused to intervene or even recognize the new government when chaos erupted in Mexico. He refused to recognize the new government because this new brutal government under Victoriano Huerta did not coincide with U.S. beliefs and interests. He, quote, put his munitions where his mouth was in 1914, end quote, when he allowed American arms to be sent to Huerta's rivals. He fully intervened later that year when American sailors were captured by Huerta. Once Huerta was removed from power, Wilson helped establish a new president. This Yankee intervention did show that the U.S. could be firm with its policies, but was not taken positively by Huerta or the new president, Carranza, and hurt the future of the United States-Mexican relations. Wilson's moral diplomacy turned out not to be any more successful than his predecessor's policies. While he did give the Philippines their independence, helped ease tensions between California and Japan, and stuck firmly to his policies in regards to the Mexican conflict, Wilson strayed from moral diplomacy to a policy he claimed he was against multiple times and injured Mexican relations.